Hey everyone, it's Amy Lynn Durham, and you're listening to Create Magic at Work. Create Magic at Work is on a mission to equip senior leaders with tools they need to be a true servant leader and actually understand what that means. Improve employee engagement, retain top talent, and transform your workplace culture to have less stress and drama. So let's start making magic. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Create Magic at Work. Today, I am excited because former NFL athlete Marques Ogden has joined the show, and he is going to share some great tips on business, leadership, and some life lessons he's learned along the way. Not only is Marques a former NFL athlete, he's a keynote speaker, business coach, and consultant, and a 3-time best-selling author, and he has his own podcast that he co-hosts called The Lev and Marques Show. So take a listen, and wow, I have to share, I am so impressed with our conversation and the vulnerability that he shares with his failures and what he learned from them, and also what he learned when he recognized his ego was in the driver's seat of his life. So it was a beautiful conversation. Let me know what you think, and gratitude for everyone listening and rating and reviewing the show. Marques, welcome to Create Magic at Work, and thank you so much for joining us and offering to share some of your wisdom with our listeners. I know there was an intro about you before this, but can you share a little bit more about yourself with the audience?
Sure, Amy. So I'm from Washington, D.C. I currently now live in Raleigh, North Carolina with my wife and my 2 daughters. I am a national, international keynote speaker, executive coach, consultant, best-selling author, podcast co-host, and I'm also a former NFL athlete.
Awesome. So just for all the magic listeners, the reason why I asked Marques to join the Create Magic at Work podcast is because one message that he shares that really resonated with me strongly is success through mistakes. And Marques, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that today, because in spiritual intelligence and in SQ, being a wise and effective change agent, making wise and compassionate decisions, being aligned with the ebb and flow of life, part of that is accepting uncertainty and accepting chaos and understanding that creative potential can come from uncertainty. And really, what I just referenced right now is quantum physics. So I want you to share with the listeners some learning lessons from your past businesses that you've started, and maybe where through uncertainty and instability came innovation and inspiration.
So I had a construction company, Amy, that was doing really well between 2008 and 2011. And in 2012, we ended up winning an award. We were coming off an 8-figure year the previous year. We were crushing it in business. But unfortunately, I became very egocentric. I became very self-centered. I became very just focused, Amy, on things that don't matter or didn't matter, like fame, notoriety, all those type of things. And as a result of that, Amy, I made some really bad decisions. I stopped treating my staff like the great people they were. I started looking at them more as like, money-making objects in reality. And because of that, I lost my best employees, and then I ended up filing a Chapter 7 bankruptcy when I had a job that I was working on go south. And I ended up spending about $3 million of my money, Amy, in less than 90 days. And when the developer did not pay back my change order, it sent me into a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. And I moved to Raleigh, and I launched my speaking business after I had my rock bottom moment of clarity as a custodian when somebody's trash and rotten meat and nasty protruding garbage, Amy, got over my body, my skin, and my clothes. And that was my wake-up call. And once I got that wake-up call, I started looking at my life a little bit differently. And I started to focus my life on helping others through the mistakes I've made. And so our mantra today is inspire people to take accountability. And we live by the creed, mission, code, whatever you want to call it, that we want to help people succeed in life, Amy, where we have failed.
Mm-hmm. So if you could name two things you learned from getting caught up in your ego during running that construction business, what was I guess the wake up moment would be all the employees leaving and the company shutting down, right? But that had to have been a series of time and moments. Was there a specific moment where I want to know the specific moment that you recognized I was operating from my ego?
You know what? Honestly, truly, that moment was when I was on that curb after my spoiled milk moment as a custodian. Because before then, Amy, I found every excuse in the world to blame other people. My business partner, the developer, the contractor, like it was everybody's fault but Marques. But once I had that spoiled milk moment, right, Amy, that's when I said, hold up, Marques, you're the one that did all this work. You're the one that, did that without a change order. You're the one that did these different things, nobody else. So it really wasn't until that moment, right, Amy, that I said, I'm the one who has to change. And once that happened, that's when things started happening positively in my life. Even though it was a long road back, that's when the things started to happen in my life at that time.
I love it. I love it. A huge part of SQ and spiritual intelligence is becoming aware of your ego versus your higher self and that place within you that can operate from wisdom and compassion and love. And once you become aware of who's in the driver's seat, was it my ego running this company, or was it that my higher self, that place within me that comes from wisdom? And sometimes we have to go through these moments in our lives to have that learning lesson, to create the awareness of the difference between the two. And I'm a spiritual executive coach, so I would have to say my assessment of your story and your experience was really meant for that. You went through that experience with this construction company because the universe was saying, okay, Marques, now it's time that you need to become aware of the difference between your ego and your higher self. And this experience is what's going to make that happen. It's similar to Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. Have you heard of that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so you were on the hero's journey. Would you agree with me? that was your test and your moment.
Absolutely. Because every hero, I truly believe this, has to go through some sort of trial, tribulation, hard time, something. Because if you don't go through something, right, Amy, I feel you're not going to be equipped to help others as they go through turmoil, hard times, and difficulty.
Oh, gosh. So you just reminded me of this Native American passage, if you will, and I want to share it with the listeners because I feel like it really resonates with what we're talking about. And the way it starts, it says, "It doesn't interest me what you do for a living." And there's a part in the passage that references failure. And it says, I want to know if you will, I'm paraphrasing here, but it says basically, I want to know if even after you fail, if you will stand at the edge of a cliff and shout yes with me. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand on the edge of a lake and shout to the silver moon, yes. And there's a lot more in that passage. I just am super grateful that we're talking about this because a lot of times people see successful people and they think it has been an easy ride to get there, especially a professional NFL football player, right? You see someone like that, oh, it's easy. He's a pro football player. He just, can put himself, but so important to understand that every single human is on a hero's journey. And to ask you right now, what would you say to maybe someone listening that is in the thick of maybe a failure, or they feel like they're in chaos? What would you say to them right now, the Marques today?
First things first, figure out what your strengths are. In order to get yourself out of a bad situation, you have to identify what your strengths are and build from there. Once you figure out what that is or they are, reverse engineer backwards to start establishing yourself in your new field, in your new career, in your new passion. And from there, start to go on the mountaintop, like you said earlier, and shout to everyone and anyone that will hear you what you are trying to do with your life. If they reject you, that's okay. That's part of the process. But if people don't know what you're doing, trying to get out of a situation, then they can never help you.
Hey, Magic Makers, Amy here. Listen, I wanted to say to all of you, don't get hung up on the word spiritual. Spiritual intelligence is a faith-neutral practice, and it can be accessed by almost anyone. Your spiritual intelligence experience will be unique to you, and often it starts with making wise and compassionate decisions for yourself, and also working on boundaries and protecting your energy. Let me help guide you to lose the stress and overwhelm and feel that deeper sense of meaning in your life. Spiritually intelligent people practice making wise and compassionate decisions, even under great stress, and maintain inner and outer peace while doing so. You can't fake spiritual intelligence, but with some inner work, you'll be able to feel and exude this energy, and everybody around you will notice and want to follow suit. Think about what your ripple effect is in this world and how you want to leave it. If you're interested in going on this transformational journey, reach out to me. Email amy@createmagicatwork.net or go to createmagicatwork.net/work with me. Sending magic to everyone. And super important, what we referenced is creating the awareness between who's in the driver's seat. Is your ego running the show, or are you coming from that place within you that comes from wisdom and compassion and love? Are you operating from your higher self? Are you operating as a servant leader? I think that was a huge learning lesson for you that you shared, and I'm grateful that you shared it. And quantum leadership says that lack of certainty and lack of clear boundaries is an opportunity to experiment and be creative. So lots of encouragement for that reverse engineering as far as what you said there. So on that note, Marques, what does servant leadership mean to you?
Servant leadership to me, Amy, means serving a cause that is greater than yourself. So I think of servant leadership. I think of people like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I think of Rosa Parks. I think of Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, people who served humanity, all people, not just one type of people, not just one ethnicity, but all people, trying to help people no matter who they are, what your beliefs are, if you're a friend of theirs, an enemy of theirs, helping people, serving a cause, trying to make the world a better place, and trying to help others that you are leading recognize their power or their superpowers and help them get where they want to go in life.
So good. So good. Another skill in SQ is, the experience that we are all one. And you're really speaking to that. And making wise and compassionate decisions. Can I have compassion for someone that I think is actually my enemy or seeks to harm me? I mean, that's like some Dalai Lama status, right? Or that's a skill that needs to be practiced on the daily. And it's like weightlifting in the gym. It's something you practice daily. Wow, you really, really great. I'm glad you touched on that. Okay, I have one more question. And then with every guest, sure. I pull prompt card from my journal prompt card deck that I created for work and for career, and you get a special message from the universe and a question to answer for the listeners. But before we do that, I want one more question from you. I want to know the Marques today that has recognized the difference between his ego and his higher self and is operating from this servant leadership space, aware of the ripple effect that you have. What is like one way that you could share with the listeners that you put your day-to-day concerns aside and you operate from a big picture view?
So for me, I always put aside, what I have to get done. And if anyone needs my help, I always put their needs above my own, because that is how I feel we've been able to grow our brand so much. It's just, it's the law of, how is it said? Hold on one second. Let's try to say it correctly. It is the law of influence, where you must give abundantly and expect nothing in return. You don't want to play even Steven. Okay, I did for you, you owe me. Let's make it 50-50. No, just the law of influence states abundantly help who you can, when you can, expect nothing in return. And people who do that, I feel, become extremely successful, because the universe will always recognize people like that. And what it does is it'll make sure that you get back your due or your stuff in the right time. So you don't go out looking for it. You go out and just execute, trying to help others and live the law of influence.
I mean, I really feel I've never heard of the law of influence. I love how you're saying it in that way. To me, being the spiritual executive coach, law of karma, the law of reciprocity, it's all wrapped up into that. What you give, you get, and often 10 times in return. So what are you going to give? And what are you going to receive back? So really great, really great. Okay, question time. I have never gotten this. So you got stability.
Okay.
And the affirmation on the card is, I create stability in my life consistently working towards my goals. Perfect for our conversation today, right? And the question that you can, and this is for the listeners too, if you're listening, this message is for you. I create stability in my life by consistently working towards my goals. Marques, can you offer one or two steps that you can take or the listeners can take to help them towards financial success?
It's interesting. I read this book and it talks about survive, save, and serve. So what you should do is you should work hard to survive and take care of your lifestyle. You should save, trying to do the best you can to help as many people as you can. And you should serve, trying to, again, serve others to help them get where they're trying to get in their life. So I would tell people, try to live by the law. And I just read this morning of survive, save, and serve. And if you do that, you should have what you need, get all of what you want. And as you help others get what they want, then I feel it'll just come back to you tenfold.
Awesome. Marques, survive, save, and serve. And I think it ties into what you were talking about before with the law of influence. So thank you so much for agreeing to be a guest on the Create Magic at Work podcast. If anybody listening wants to get a hold of you and work with you, how can they reach out to you?
They can reach out to me through our website, www.marques, MARQUES, Ogden, OGDEN.com. If anybody has any media inquiries, they'd like to connect with us that way, they can send an email to our publicist, Ben Nguyen, which is Ben, BINDNGUEYENPR@gmail.com, or they can just connect with us through our email, which is Marques@MarquesOgden.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sending some magic to everyone. And we wish you the best of luck in your journey. And I hope that everything comes back to you tenfold for all your giving. Thanks for being on the show.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Amy. Thank you very much.
Hey everyone, it's Amy here. Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Create Magic at Work. And please come back often and subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Keep joining us for more exciting episodes where we help you transform workplace culture to systems that create less drama and stress and have high productivity and profitability. You can get your own tools for the workplace at createmagicatwork.net. I have a new Create Magic at Work, the journal that just released, and it invites you to reflect about different themes for work and your career. Each section of the journal contains a topic, an affirmation, and 2 prompt questions to help you journal your thoughts. Topics are like inspiring others, mentorship, expansion, and productivity. So connect with me at createmagicatwork.net. Also connect with me on LinkedIn under Amy Lynn Durham. Sending magic to everyone, and see you next time.